Jack Teixeira is back in the news. This kid right here is 21-year-old airman Jack Teixeira, also known as the Thug Shaker Central on Discord. I'm not making that up. That's actually a really big part of the story. We'll get to that in a second. In case you don't know who this kid is right here, he essentially went on a very secret database that he had access to because he had a security clearance, and essentially he leaked a lot of top secret information, such as like the battle plans in Ukraine, things about North Korea, China, a bunch of stuff on a gaming Discord. And essentially, Jack Teixeira got arrested by the FBI. Now, the reason why Jack Teixeira is actually back in the news is not really because of him. What you need to understand is that Jack Teixeira actually got in trouble before the FBI got him arrested. And the people who got Jack Teixeira in trouble, Jack's bosses, now they are all in trouble and they are being questioned as to why they didn't say anything about Jack Teixeira. Okay, so this is being talked about all over the internet. U.S. Air Force moves to discipline 15 personnel related to the leak case. The United States Air Force moved to discipline 15 personnel over the leaking of classified military information allegedly by Air National Guardsman Jack Teixeira, the military said on Monday. Prosecutors say Teixeira, who was 21 at the time of his arrest in June, leaked classified documents to a group of gamers on the messaging app Discord. The classified material included highly sensitive U.S. military assessments, including the war on Ukraine. And by the way, this made the United States look absolutely terrible, and this made the Biden administration look very bad. Essentially, Jack Teixeira leaked that the United States did not have a lot of confidence in Ukraine. Again, I'm not saying that. This is what the document said. You can go ahead and look into it. It was a lot of information that was put out there by Jack Teixeira, and again, it looked horrible on the Biden administration. The leak is considered the most serious U.S. national security breach since more than 700,000 documents, videos, and diplomatic cables appeared on WikiLeaks website in 2010. The actions range from revealing personnel from their positions, including command positions, to non-judicial punishment under Article 15 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, an Air Force statement said. This is the big one right here. Colonel Sean Riley, commander of the 102nd Intelligence Wing, to which Teixeira belonged, was relieved of command. Now, again, Teixeira was a part of the 102nd Intelligence Wing, and we'll get to that in a second, how this actually enabled Teixeira to get access to this database. And by the way, since I'm sponsored by no one ever, I made a YouTube channel dedicated to my newborn son, Luca. So I named the channel Luca History, and essentially I'm making a bunch of videos for him so he can remember me by, and when he grows up, he can learn all of the best historical things ever. So go ahead and go check out Luca History. Go, please follow this channel, support the movement. It'll mean a lot to myself and my family. And yeah, I'll leave a link down below in the description, in the comments. Go check out Luca History, and it's going to be purely historical content. I think you guys are going to like it a lot, and it's actually going to be a different side of me that you guys have never seen before. So thank you. Go check out Luca History. And this part right here will have you scratching your head how Teixeira was able to get away with a lot of this. An Air Force Inspector General report into the incident found that some member of Teixeira's unit and leadership had information about as many as 4 separate instances of his questionable activity. When you do a deep dive into the actual report by the FBI and other outside sources, again, these 15 personnel, they reprimanded Teixeira, and they knew about Teixeira's actions. Like, Teixeira was literally caught writing information on a notepad so that he was not found copy and pasting the things on this database. Like, again, Teixeira would find some secret information, he would write it on a notepad, and then one of these 15 personnel actually knew what Teixeira was doing, and again, they gave him like a slap on the wrist. So this is why, when this report came out, a lot of people were questioning, why did Teixeira not get kicked out of the military, or why did he not lose his security clearance? He was caught 4 other times before the FBI had to step in and say, guys, what the hell was going on? A smaller number of people had a more complete picture of his intelligence-seeking behavior and intentionally failed to report the full details of these security concerns and incidents, which, again, if you know something, you have to say something. I was in the U.S. Army, and anyone who saw somebody doing something bad, even if it was like underage drinking, if that kid got in trouble for underage drinking, I would also be in trouble for not reporting it. This is simply how the U.S. military operates. It's one team, one fight. You cannot just let one person suffer. Everyone suffers together. That is why the U.S. military is as powerful as it is. Had any of these members come forward, security officials would likely have facilitated restricting systems / facility access and alerted the appropriate authorities, reducing the length and depth of the unauthorized and unlawful disclosures by several months, the report said. Now, this right here is pretty interesting. The Air Force statement accompanying the report added that the investigation did not find evidence that Teixeira's chain of command were aware of his alleged disclosures. Okay, so Jack Teixeira's job was a cyber transport systems specialist within the Air Force. So essentially, his job was to set up networks pretty much anywhere in the world under the Air Force. And because of this, he needed a security clearance. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, when you are given a security clearance by the U.S. military, this is an insurance policy. Essentially, the U.S. military is telling you, we're going to give you access to very secret things. And if you go ahead and snitch on us or leak any of this information, because we gave you an insurance policy, we can get you in trouble. You signed the dotted line saying you can be trusted, you're not going to leak anything, and this is essentially how security clearances work. Now, Jack Teixeira, because he had a security clearance, apparently there is a database he had access to, and a lot of other high-ranking officials have access to, where you have all of this information that's top secret. Things like, again, the war in Ukraine, North Korea, China, over 700,000 pieces of secret items. Jack Teixeira just had whatever he wanted to do with them, he could do with them. He had access to all of it. And again, he is a low-ranking airman, he had the lowest level of security clearance, and he was able to exploit the fact that anybody with the security clearance can go ahead in this database as long as you knew about the database. Now look, I was in the US Army, I had a security clearance, and really one of the main reasons, again, why you have a security clearance, as cool as it sounds, as top secret as it sounds, it's as simple as, if I'm going to trust you to use a radio, or you're going to overhear some secret things, we don't want you to spill the beans. Again, this is an insurance policy that Jack Teixeira exploited. And again, there were people who saw Jack Teixeira quite literally go into this database, take notes, and then put that information on Discord. Now, it's also been pointed out that Jack Teixeira did act alone, but we do have a saying in the military that crap rolls downhill. I can't say the bad word on here because I'm not going to say it. I have a son now. But again, crap rolls downhill. Jack Teixeira got his colonel fired, his commander fired. He got supervisors fired because he did something wrong. And again, these guys, they should have reported Jack Teixeira, but knowing how the military operates, I'm sure these guys were afraid for their own jobs and positions just to handle it locally. But again, it was put out there that these guys had no idea that Jack Teixeira was acting in bad faith. I'm going to put some credit on these guys, on the supervisors of Jack Teixeira and the colonel. If these guys knew Jack Teixeira was posting all this information on Discord, I'm sure they would have said something and they would have got him arrested. But again, we'll see what actually happens to all of these guys. Maybe it's going to be a reduction in rank. Maybe they're going to get kicked out of the military. Nonetheless, this is further evidence that crap does roll downhill. Thank you, Jack Teixeira. Now, Jack Teixeira could be facing up to 10 years in prison, a fine up to over $500,000. Massive implications for Jack Teixeira. He's saying he is not guilty. His family is saying he's not guilty. But look, when you embarrass the entire U.S. military, you embarrass the Biden administration, and you embarrass the entire Air Force, I'm sorry for Jack Teixeira, but most likely he's going to be given the full extent of his punishment. Because look, Jack Teixeira is saying he didn't do anything, but you really do leave a cyber footprint when you do the things Jack Teixeira did. Again, the FBI came out and said, we actually have evidence of Jack writing down secret information on this database. That alone is evidence enough to get you in some big trouble. Again, as a former combat engineer, there's definitely some things that we learned that you never want to put out on the internet or say publicly or show off to all your friends that you know. And even if we did write down information, you would always shred it or put it away. You would be very careful with it. But again, Jack Teixeira was acting in very bad faith on Discord. He was taking this information and he was pushing it further and further and further to show off to all of his gaming friends how much information he had access to and that he just did not care. In fact, Jack Teixeira said that. He put on Discord, he does not care. He's going to keep doing this. Again, he could care less. And that's very damning information, and that could make you look very bad and very guilty. Now, as far as the 15 personnel related to the leak case, again, I have no idea what's going to happen to them. I don't think they're going to go in jail since the court is saying Jack Teixeira did act alone. But again, if they knew about this, they could be just as guilty. I'm sure that the Uniform Code of Military Justice, there is some sort of provisions that might somewhat suppress the discipline of these guys. But nonetheless, again, in the military, if you know something, you have to say something. And the weakest guy in your platoon or unit, he can bring you guys all down. And Jack Teixeira is definitely a weak airman, and he's bringing everyone down with him. Nonetheless, I actually feel bad for these Air Force personnel. I really don't think what they did was on purpose. I'm sure that they were actually afraid of their job positions. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. This case is only getting juicier and juicier, and we still don't know what exactly is going to happen to Jack Teixeira. You'll notice in a lot of the verbiage and explanations to Jack Teixeira, it's always allegedly stole information, but again, the FBI put out a lot of information that's very damning for Jack Teixeira. I would be highly surprised if he got away with all of this because, look, I don't think he's going to get away with all of it. So go ahead and leave your comments below what you think about all of this, and again, crap rolls downhill.